the extent that you saw what they actually do, we've actually talked about this before too, is you did natural bikini in the OCB and then you finally did the NPC natural. So you've only competed natural.
Natural, yeah.
And you've done years of training and, nailed the diet down. Took a little while to get, everything in place and saw how far you had to push and stuff.
Right.
And then you look at the Olympia competitors and you go, why the fuck don't I look like them? I'm doing everything that they're doing.
Well, I remember this was a really tough thing for me to come to terms with. And this is on me, okay? This is not a blanket statement. I'm only speaking for myself. But, I found myself, there it was. If you're a competitor or if you're really into this fitness thing, you go into the rice cooker and you have, what do you have, right? You've got your measuring cup. And don't fuck with the measuring cup. You fill it. If it's too much, you take it off. And then you put it in your food bowl and you measure all of your protein and you put it together. I mean, fuck, I've got cheese that's not even really cheese.
Vegan,
vegan fucking whatever that even is. You're counting everything. You do your fasted cardio, you do your weightlifting at night, and you're trying so hard. And you do your cardio at night, and you're living it, and you're doing it, and you're going to bed hungry, and you're just, whatever he said for when I was competing, I would legitimately get my email, my weekly update email, what to change, and I would start crying every week. I would be like, I pray to God I changed enough that he won't take any more food from me. And of course he did. And of course my cardio went up. And I found myself at the end of the process, every time I've done this process, I've never seen myself look so good for me. And looking in the mirror and thinking, holy shit, this is me, right? But that's great. But and looking around at the girls at the natural shows where I've been, there are some beautiful girls. Hands down, they're gorgeous, right? But they don't look like these national competitors. I'm not saying you have to be on something. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I can't look like that. And I didn't understand. I was like, I don't understand. How in the world, how can I try this hard? 2 cardio sessions a day, measuring all my food, everything you said. If you said bark like a fucking dog, I fucking bark like a dog. Anything you said I had to do to look like that, but I don't get it. What do I have to do? How many miles do I have to run? And the truth is, doesn't matter. Because I, genetically or whatever, I can't look like that.
Well, a lot of it has to do with genetics to a certain point.
I can't do that.
But once you've maxed out your genetics, which a lot of these pros and national competitors do,
right.
Other things come into play, like, not necessarily, steroids, but growth hormone, clenbuterol, T3. They throw that in the mix and they have a completely different look. Now,
I see why now.
How did you figure out that was what was really going on? Were people telling you, like you were talking? Or?
I love Instagram.
Yeah.
I've always loved Instagram. I like pictures. I like what it communicates. And I'd see, I don't know how many times I've seen this. This was my first show in July 2014, 2014.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks like her, totally, but nah. And then this was me on the national stage in, September 2015. And holy shit, they look like they're related, but it's like the best possible photoshopped perfection, most amazing looking girl I've ever seen. Yeah, it's that girl, but really, really a year. Okay, come on now. Come on, I get it. My genetics apparently suck, but no one is that good, okay? No one is that good. And here's the thing. It's not like it was one girl. It was another girl. And another girl. There are a lot of bikini girls out there. I'm like, I really admire their hard work. They're gorgeous. They work hard. They take it seriously. They're very inspirational. Just really good soul people. But I'm telling you right now, I don't look like that. And I don't know how anybody else goes from this to this. But I will tell you this. They're doing it though, right? They're going after their dreams. They knew that they were doing just like me, right? Measuring their rice, all their protein, 2 cardio sessions a day. They're killing themselves, but they still couldn't get from A to B without some help. In order to be the best possible versions of themselves in this sport, don't be all judgy, all you out there, don't be judging me. To go from A to B in their best possible form, gotta add a little something in. That's just how that works.
I really wasn't even aware until a few years ago. We have a friend that came to me from one of the big teams and told me what they were giving her. And showed them to me, brought the things to me that they were giving her. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I had no idea. I thought these girls were just all genetically, fucking freaky. You have people's genetics that are great, and you can compete in a high level with great genetics, but once these things start getting added in, and we've been around enough people now who talk openly in front of you and stuff about things that are going on. Did it shock you, or were you like, well, that makes sense now I feel better?
Okay, so again, I love showcasing my ignorance because I've come a long way, you guys. In my head, if you told me a girl is on steroids, you know what that is? The women that, there are women who look more like men than the men look like men. Like, they're almost like, we're talking like circus quality. We're talking like completely off the charts, nothing in normal society, way off like something you heard of in like a book at some point when you were little. I thought that's what girls look like on steroids because I didn't know. So when I heard that these gorgeous bikini competitors were on steroids, I was like, come on. I'm like, that's the girliest thing I've ever seen. She's beautiful. Like that is a woman right there. That's a woman. And it was like, Erin, I've got this person telling me the truth, this person telling me the truth. I've heard from so many girls what they've been taking. And I'm like, that's how you look so gorgeous? That's what you're doing? So you didn't look like that before though, for you. And they're like, I couldn't get there without it. I'm like, but it didn't occur to me that girls could take steroids and still look as beautiful and feminine on steroids.
But if you had never competed and did what you did, you would never known that the steroids are not necessarily cheating. They're for you to actually, you get to a certain point where your genetics are maxed out. Mm-hmm. And they allow you to become, like, I don't want to say another animal, but become the best version of yourself. Like, it just enhances what you already have that you can't get to without.
Well, and I'm glad you said the word cheaters, because when I was in high school, and I get that was a long time ago, okay? Calling my age out here.
Hey, 23 now, right?
Yeah, totally, 24. But I did initially see steroids as cheating. And what changed my mind actually was not the competing and not the after-school special, but do you remember when the baseball scandal came out? Those baseball players
Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa.
All the performance-enhancing drugs, and I remember them being these amazing athletes. And obviously it was a long time ago, and people go, oh, those fucking cheaters, man, I looked up to him, like, that's why he's so good. And I remember, and I was listening to everything, and I remember the after-school special, and I sat there for a couple minutes, and I remember saying it was a guy, and they're like, oh, that guy's cheating, and I said, he still had to hit the ball. Like, he still had to actually hit the ball. I can't hit the ball. Do you understand? Like, I can't do it. I said, can you hit a ball like that? I can't. You could pump me full of anything, okay? I can't hit a ball like that.
They do increase hand-eye coordination, but the thing about it is if you don't have naturally good hand-eye coordination, it doesn't really, I mean, it may increase it a little bit, but like, I'm not going to hit the ball like Barry Bonds, no matter how hard I try.
I don't care what you inject me with. I'm never going to be a professional women's basketball player. Okay, I don't have it in me. I'm never going to be able to hit a softball like that. I don't care what you put in me. I mean, and that was when it hit me that they're like, are you defending him for cheating? And I was like, no, I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying that he still had to hit the ball. So who are you? And that was his job, was to hit the fucking ball.
Right.
And then I started to think about, well, what do you do if it's your job? Let's just say if it's your job. So if, Mark McGwire's job is hit the fucking ball, then he needs to hit the ball. He needs to go from point A to point B, which is to hit the ball and win. So if you're it's a stretch, but if you're a salesman and you need to close a damn deal, well, maybe you have to go to a dinner that you don't want to go to, and you have to eat the duck, which P.S. you hate duck, and you have to have 3 beers, and you have to go play golf. Maybe you don't like those things. Maybe you don't think they're right. Maybe you don't believe in eating ducks. I don't know what your problem is, but either way, you want to close that deal, you're going to have to probably go through a situation you might not care to do in order to close that deal. So if you want to be a successful salesman, on occasion, you might have to go from point A to point B in your own right. And I'm not picking on salesmen or baseball players. I'm saying that there are a lot of professions where if you have to go from point A to point B, if you want to be a physician or if you want to be an attorney and you want to be the best attorney ever, but you have trouble studying because you have ADD, maybe you need a medication to help you focus. Is that a performance-enhancing drug? I'm not here to make judgments. I don't know how to label that.
By definition, yes. They said there was actually a great conductor. I can't remember the name, but he had anxiety. So when he stood in front of this, this crowd of thousands of people, he would take Valium before he went over there.
Performance-enhancing drug.
To be able to conduct the orchestra. He was enhancing his performance, and, he talked openly about it. He said, Valium was the greatest thing ever happened because I could do it. I mean, nobody ever freaked out about that guy. And he was famous, and, was not like a little asterisk next to his name like the baseball players.
Well, I can tell you right now, if I'm working all night, I've worked all day and I have to do a heart transplant at night, you think caffeine and my cup of coffee isn't a performance-enhancing drug? It is. I need that cup of coffee. Give me my coffee, please. Okay? Because I need it to do my job well to get from point A to point B. I'm just saying it opened my eyes. It started with the baseball scandal, that there are a lot of ways to go from point A to point B. And I know what you guys are thinking, well, those bikini competitors aren't always their job. Okay, you know what? But maybe they want it to be their job. Maybe they're trying to go pro. Maybe if they are pro, maybe their job is to be, in their heads, to win the Olympia, okay? Because that is point A to point B. Everyone perceives their goals as their job, no matter what you're doing, whether you get paid for it or not, or you want to get paid for it. Like, you're going to get paid to be an attorney, right? So if you need that medication to help you focus, to read your books, you know, you're doing it because you want to be a well-paid attorney. That's your goal. That's your job. It's part of your job. So that's my opinion, and I've come
Well, to become an
a long
attorney
way.
first would be the goal. So it would be like competing to become pro would be the goal.
Right.
To
and
become
then,
a well-paid attorney would be like winning the Olympia. So
Right.
it's the same thing. So you would take performance enhancers even if it wasn't
and
technically
maybe
your
that's
job yet.
3 cups of coffee a day. Or,
Right.
you know, I'm not saying it has to be cocaine. I'm just saying, you know, if you need a little extra caffeine, you know, that's acceptable. You know, caffeine is acceptable. Some people calm down, need to go out and smoke a cigarette. They need a minute, right? That's their way of coping. Or, you know, there are a lot of people who get really stressed out and they're like, man, we got to go have a beer, man. We just got to calm down. Like, I need to refocus this. Let's just have a beer. Let's take a minute. Whatever people need to do to get from point A to point B and be successful is really what it's opened my eyes to being. And, you know, I get that there's a legality issue. You know, a lot of this stuff isn't legal, but it's kind of like, it's not like T3 is illegal, but what are you using it for?
Prescription, right. Now, like, okay, so you have such a different look on it now than you did back then.
Oh my God, I had to learn, I had to grow a lot as a person and really open my eyes and open my mind, because this was a huge challenge for me, and it's embarrassing for me to say it on camera because I started so closed-minded.
So based on what you've seen, so I want to run over a couple things. So you started back then, you're a bikini competitor. You also are in the medical field, industry. You also have 2 bachelor degrees from George Mason University. You are educated as well.
Yeah.
And you have never smoked a cigarette.
No.
Never smoked weed.
No.
Never done drugs. Like,
No.
no marijuana, no cocaine, nothing.
It's not my thing.
So seeing steroids compared to knowing what all those other things, like you have friends and stuff that did the smoking and cocaine or whatever, do you see steroids being as dangerous, less dangerous, on par? Is it, should they be included in something like that, in your opinion?
This is so tricky, and everyone is going to have difference of opinions, and this is such a gray area. I mean, you've got a lot of things where people say, if you have a problem with a drug, you should regulate it, tax the shit out of it, regulate it, make it safe. So there's a lot of that, and some people are like, no, if you make it legal, then you're telling people it's okay. You're trying to be like morality police. I don't know, but I can tell you what makes me nervous about steroids is that, people might think that they're getting Winstrol and they're getting Anavar, or they're getting something and they're getting something else, or maybe they think it's a certain milligrams and it isn't. It's just the same thing. It's like
you mean on the black market?
Yeah. Okay. However, secretly you have to get it, but it reminds me not too far away from this whole heroin thing going on. They're cutting heroin with fentanyl right now, and people are dropping dead. You know why? Because they don't know the fentanyl's fucking in there, and you don't know the concentration of the fentanyl in the heroin. So in talks of, you want to bring, fitness and medical together, how is that different? You can't promise that you're not getting fentanyl and heroin. If you think you're getting heroin, you can't know for sure if you're 100% getting the right, steroid, whatever you want to call it, on this end. So you've got an equal issue. The only thing is that, a lot of times, it's a lot of drugs like cocaine and heroin and stuff, it's still a medicine for many people. It's an anti-anxiety. It is treating a condition. They don't realize that they're battling depression. They don't realize that they're battling grief, or that they're going through these things that they actually probably do need a physician's help. They don't realize that, and that's just my opinion. But, in terms of steroids, you can definitely fuck yourself up with it. And I don't know what the right thing is, but I can tell you by leaving it this whole underground thing, you don't know what people are getting.
Underground in general is just not good, and I've actually said
scary.
that. From when I started to now, Like when I stopped using the heavy duty bodybuilding stuff, the underground was getting pretty bad. And people contact me on a daily basis. What do you think about this? And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck.
And no one knows what they're taking. Well, you know, Bob at the gym said that he takes 100 milligrams of this. Well, I don't know, but what if you needed 5?
Right.
And you're taking 100? Like, if you had a strep throat, and you were like, oh, I know what I need. I'll just go get that antibiotic. Well, what if you needed this much antibiotic and you took this much antibiotic?
Right.
You're going to fuck yourself up. You're going to make yourself horribly sick, right? And I get that you're like, Erin, are you really comparing antibiotics to something else? What I'm saying is you have substances that you don't know if it's the right thing that your body needs in order to get the required result that you're going for. You know, you're still going for an end result. If you take an antibiotic because you have strep throat and you want it to go away, it's still point A to point B. So how do you know what to take? You think there's a bunch of published literature on steroids? You think there's a bunch of published literature on how much heroin you're supposed to take? I don't know, but I've never heard of it.
Well, it's a bunch of idiots in a forum right now, which, you know, makes it
terrible. And they don't know, and everybody acts like they know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Well, this is actually pretty long, so I'm probably going to have to cut this into 2 parts. Okay. Thank you for talking about this. Thank you for being candid.
Please don't fight in the comment section. Don't be fighting.
Down below, but don't fight. You want to do the Bios3? Well, do the Bios3 bicep sign up and throw whatever you want after it.
Let's see. It's the...
Is that how you think? With your fingers?
Excellent. I don't know what kind of bicep to do.
This is the I speak out about PED bicep. Do that.
Yeah.
Ready?
That's a lot to remember. Okay, this is the I speak out about PED bicep. Can I kiss it?
Yep.
Because that's what I do. Yep. And we're out.